of Champions League football. Well, I'm joking. It's obviously not Champions League football. It is Copa del Rey football. My name is Omar Hawash. I will be your commentator for today. I thought I'd start you off with a bit of a joke. And well, we are well underway in the Copa del Rey quarterfinal between Albacete and Barça. And what I'm going to do first of all here is hope that you're all doing well and hope you're going to enjoy this game. This is, of course, BG Matchday, our Matchday show covering all FC Barcelona games, whether that's La Liga, Copa del Rey, Supercopa, or the Champions League. So, for Barça today, Joan Garcia between the sticks. João Cancelo starts down the right. Down the left is Gerard Martin. In the middle of defense is Ronald Araujo and Eric Garcia. In midfield, it's Frankie de Jong pairing up with Marc Bernal. Dani Olmo plays in behind Robert Lewandowski. On the right is Lamine Yamal, and on the left is Marcus Rashford. So that is Barca's lineup. As for, well, I'm interrupted here by a potential chance for Barca as Dani Olmo found Lewandowski. He gets it back here on the return. This time gets fouled himself, and referee says play on. Olmo not happy with that as Albacete look to build here through the middle. It swung out to the right hand side, and unfortunately for Albacete, not much in the way of keeping possession as they try to find Melendez. Now, the starting lineup for Albacete is Lithuanian in goal, Bernabeu and Moreno in the heart of defense. It is a 4-4-2. Aguado and Neva, the wide players, the fullbacks. Villar and Pacheco partner in midfield. Capi on the left, Melendez on the right. Up front, it is Medina and Puertas. So those are the lineups for tonight, and those are the lineups for that's the lineup for Albacete. We've been through the lineup of Barça. And for Barca, of course, this lineup a statement. Barca don't just want to go into this game uh, just to win it. They want to go in to dominate. This is pretty much the Gala 11 for Hansi Flick, given the injuries. And for Barca, this is a game they have to win. Of course, Albacete, with a potential chance here down the right-hand side, Melendez looking to find support in the on-running Aguado. Swings it into the middle. It's a good move here, but they're stopped by Barca's midfield. Now down the left-hand side, it goes for Capi. Capi with a cross in towards the back post. It floats over the heads of everyone. Goes out for a goal kick. Of course, the game is being played at the Estadio Carlos Belmonte. And for Albacete, currently on a four game winning streak out of five, a 5 game unbeaten run. They drew to Real Sociedad's B team 5 games ago. Since then, they've gone on to beat Real Madrid, famously, in the Copa del Rey. They've beat Cadiz 1-0 at home. They've beat Real Valladolid, yes, the Real Valladolid, 1-0 away from home. And they've beat Real Zaragoza, who used to be in La Liga back when it was Liga BBVA many, many years ago. And now they're up against Barca. A cross in here towards the back post. It's Marcus Rashford. He leaves it for Olmo and maybe should have taken the shot himself, the Englishman. A very, very good chance. A brilliant cross from Lamine Yamal over to Marcus Rashford and thought about taking it himself, ultimately went for the cutback, and unfortunately for him, it went to no one. He was trying to find Dani Olmo, maybe Robert Lewandowski. Unfortunately for him, was not able to do that. And Barca come away with no goals yet. Marcus Rashford tries to swing across in this time himself down the left and unable to do so as it goes out for a throw in. Taken quickly here by Barca. Ball back with the Catalan outfit here. Marc Bernal back to Ronald Araujo. Ball out for João Cancelo down the right. Cancelo, of course, the interesting feature here as Lamine Yamal with a cross in towards Dani Olmo, and it's picked up by Lithuanian without too much pressure on the 35-year-old goalkeeper. Of course, Albacete again, um, a team that are in La Liga Dos, right? So if you're Real Madrid, that was a terrible loss. And if you're Barca, you cannot afford to lose this game under any circumstances. And maybe a bit of a tussle there between the Barca and Albacete players, or at least an argument here now with the referee, as Cancelo looked to have hit the back of Puertas as he tried to head the ball away. And we'll see if a yellow card will be issued towards the Portuguese player. Maybe not. But tonight's referee is Jose Luis Moreira Montero. Not necessarily the most aggressive referee in terms of issuing out cards, lenient to an extent. And the Portuguese defender might have just found his luck there. João Cancelo, no yellow card for him as Albacete looked to play on down the left-hand side here. Ball now with Pacheco. And a cross goes in to the hands of El Arquero del Barça, Joan Garcia. Easy pickings for him. And interestingly enough as well now, it does look like Albacete are deploying somewhat of a 5 at the back now, somewhat of a 5-3-2, with Melendez and Capi tucking into the midfield with Pacheco. And then the 5 at the back with Aguado and Bernabeu actually filling out the wide spots. Neva having slotted inside with Villar and Moreno. So the midfield is sort of shuffled back a little bit, and the wide players have tucked into midfield as Albacete's play fails them there. Barca pick it up. Brilliant one-touch football between Rashford and Dani Olmo. Rashford found here by Dani Olmo. Rashford with a shot, and it just goes wide. It's good play by Barca again. A good start from the Catalan outfit. They haven't looked too shaky. And if you're a Barca fan, the fact that Barca haven't conceded in 7 minutes, well, that's a good sign in and of itself. That is a good sign in and of itself. And the interesting thing here, of course, will be how Barca will manage this game as well, given the opportunity of getting ahead, whether they'll manage the game from there and how they'll do that. Because, of course, if you're Hansi Flick, famously when Bayern beat Barca 8-2, the German coach said that he did not see enough goals in that game, right? And that was many years ago. But that is the Hansi Flick mentality. That is the mentality a team like Barca should have is, well, if you are leading by a margin, why not pile on? There's no reason to take your foot off the gas unless you absolutely have to. As Eric Garcia swings it over on the right hand side for João Cancelo. Cancelo looking for an overlapping run here with Lamine Yamal. Finds the Portuguese. Cancelo with a low driven cross. It's attempted, but it's also blocked by Bernabeu, who is then pushed to the ground by the Portuguese. Really testing the referee's patience tonight. And so far has gotten away with it. Has gotten away with it so far. Now, of course, the the interesting part here will be who comes off the bench throughout the game here, because for Hansi Flick, of course, in addition to the usuals in Koshin and Chesney, as Albacete find themselves around Barca's box but unable to really make much of it. João Cancelo finds Olmo with a brilliant turn to just hold up play. Brilliant move by João Cancelo down the right as he finds help in the middle. Barca believe there should be a foul, and Albacete's strike lands into the hands of Joan Garcia. Barca believe that maybe there should have been a foul there. Lamine Yamal actually the one holding up the play, and he was pocket picked by the oncoming Medina. Barca now with the attack down the left-hand side. Now it's their turn. Gerard Martin finds Frankie de Jong. De Jong fakes a ball in and goes to the other side. Ball now back with Ronald Araujo. Over for Gerard Martin. Lines up to maybe shoot. Goes down to Marcus Rashford. Back to Martin on the byline. Martin with a cross and is deflected off the defender and into the hands of Lithuania. Not much going the way of Barca in terms of attack and play, although they have found themselves forward quite a lot. But again, we're seeing a similar pattern to what we saw a couple of games ago, where it feels like they get over to the 18-yard box and they get stuck. They don't really know what to do. We're not seeing the inventiveness of Lamine Yamal. We're not seeing the inventiveness much of Marcus Rashford. We've seen Daniel Olmo, to me, has done very well so far with what he's been given. But you want to see more. If you're Barca, you want to see more from this team. As Araujo finds Olmo. Olmo in for Lewandowski. Brilliant move away. Olmo now has support down the right. Can he find it? He could not find Lamine Yamal, but play is stopped for a previous infringement. Looks like as the referee is calling the ball back, I believe the infringement was on potentially on Robert Lewandowski. It looks like it was. Melendez took down the Polish striker. And well, grass is green, the sky is blue, and Barca have 79% possession so far. Make of that what you will. As Albacete look to be on the break potentially here down the left hand side. It's a good swung ball down the left, but unfortunately for Albacete, Bernabeu not able to make much of it. And ultimately, the ball does go out for a Barca throw in. Marc Bernal. Now Gerard Martin. Back to Eric Garcia. Fakes left, goes right. Ball now with Jacques Cancelo looking at 1-2 with Frank de Jong. Lamine Yamal ultimately looking to swing it in for Cancelo. Unable to. Araujo with a flying header to get the ball away, and then a brilliant push to get the ball back for Barca. Finds himself now down the left-hand side and is found by Gerard Martin, looking to combine with him as he gets back to his original position. And well done by the Uruguayan. Well, now back with Gerard Martin in for Eric Garcia. Swings it right for João Cancelo, who drops it for Lamine Yamal. Lamine back to Cancelo. Cancelo up against Bernabeu. Can he get the cross in? He fakes it, goes back to Lamine Yamal. Finds himself in a good crossing position, fakes his run, goes in for Olmo. Olmo slides it back to Lamine Yamal, but the latter unable to get to it. Brilliant move away by Pacheco. And now a potential overload here by Albacete down the left-hand side. They find themselves cornered, but they somehow found a way out. Potential crossing opportunity here as Puertas up against Eric Garcia and up against Marc Bernal. Brilliant defending from the Barca midfielder, ensuring that Albacete didn't make it any further than they already had. And again, it was just brilliant movement by Medina to get away. Agus Medina, 31 years of age, but he still got it, especially against the top clubs like Barca. To put on the display Albacete did against Real Madrid and then come to this game clearly full of belief in yourself as Cancelo swings it into the head of Ronald Araujo. It bounces back towards Albacete. Barca win it back. Dani Olmo, a good toe poke over for Gerard Martin, swings it over a diagonal towards Lamine Yamal, but it's picked well by Albacete. We now find themselves under a little bit of pressure down the right-hand side. Again, good play. And it's swung forward and over to the left-hand side, but unfortunately for the home side, goes out of play. Javi Moreno unable to find a teammate there. And it is, in truth, a pretty decently young back line. I mean, David Bernabeu, the now left back, is 19 years of age. You have Carlos Neva, who's 29. Lorenzo Aguado down the right, who's 23. The center back, the three center backs, and Carlos Neva's 29, Villar is 22, and Javi Moreno is 25. So not too old either. Not full of veterans, but definitely capable players. I mean, Yamal down the right here goes past Bernabeu. It's a cross in towards Lewandowski. It's punched away by Lithuanian and ultimately dealt with by Albacete. They try to start an attack down the left, and João Cancelo finally gets his yellow card. 3 tries now, and it almost feels intentional by João Cancelo. 3 times now, he's challenged. He's truly challenged Montero, the referee. And they've been pretty harsh tackles, too. This time, doesn't get any of the ball and gets a yellow card. Now, of course, will be interesting whether Hansi Flick keeps him for the full 90, even if that wasn't the original goal, because he is now on a yellow. And given how he's played so far, you would not be surprised if he picked up a second one. As Barca look to go forward, Lewandowski falls to ground. Referee says nothing there, play on. Albacete do. Lewandowski waiting a little bit before he gets back up. And now Carlos Neva with a swung ball down the right hand side. It's a good one down towards Medina. It's a good cross in by Puertas. And it's ultimately rejected by Barca. Frenkie de Jong tries to do a 1-2 with Dani Olmo. Olmo ultimately finds Marcus Rashford, who steps in to get it. Well done by the Englishman. Back to Frenkie de Jong in the middle. Barca now building from the back and very, very slowly. Eric Garcia finds Joao Cancelo. Cancelo over to Lamine Yamal down the right hand side. Lamine awaits support from the overlapping run by Joao Cancelo. Finds him. Cancelo with a first time cross in towards the mixer. It's Marcus Rashford. He goes for the header and ultimately falls to ground. He's gotten back up, though, it seems. Not hurt, but was pretty much pushed off balance. As Gerard Martin with a low driven in towards Rashford and Lewandowski. The Englishman left it for Lewandowski, who couldn't get to it. And Albacete now look to build a counterattack, but Barca have about 6 men back. It's a great move here from Albacete down the left-hand side. Pacheco waiting for support. No run into the box yet. There it comes. It's a cross in towards the back post. And, well, no one was really getting to that. And it will be a goal kick for Joao Garcia. Again, it's a really good cross by Joao Cancelo. It's the textbook play, really, for Joao Cancelo. And just as Marcus Rashford is about to head it, I believe it was Aguado who sort of got under him and got him off balance as he was leaping up to get it. No foul play, says Montero. I think Barca, for the most part, agree. And, well, as a result, if you're joining us, it is still 0-0 as Barca look to break the lock here. Lamine Yamal crossed in for Lewandowski. Good touch by Lewandowski. Good movements to keep the ball, but unable to make the most of it as Albacete's attempted clearance falls for Joao Cancelo, and now Barca can give it another shot. Cancelo leaves it for Ronaldo Araujo. Now across for Eric Garcia down the left-hand side. Gerard Martin looks to combine with Rashford on the overlap. Rashford has him. Tries to nonchalantly poke it back for Marc Bernal and Eric Garcia. Garcia finding himself needing to step up and does. And, well, now we're seeing sort of a double pivot almost in this position with Cancelo, Araujo, and Gerard Martin almost. The three at the back as Marc Bernal look to shape up to shoot here after a good sequence of play from Barca. Unable to do that. Does tackle to win the ball back from behind. Wins it back standing. But Montero believes foul play took place. Again, it's not a bad tackle. I think he might have just clipped Medina there, though, in fairness. No yellow card, just the talking to and a foul given. 4 fouls committed by Barca so far. 3 of them, I believe, by Joao Cancelo, and then 1 by Marc Bernal just then. Albacete, just the 1. And that one was by Melendez when he took down Robert Lewandowski as Barca were looking to build in transition. So, all in all, it's been a pretty quiet game, all things considered. It hasn't been too much going on. It hasn't been too gritty, too scrappy. It's been 2 teams trying to play a good brand of football. And for Albacete, whenever they've had the chance to go forward, they've looked like a team that wants to build it instead of just go for the spectacular over the top and catch the high line off guard, which, you know, for better or for worse, is how most teams play against Barca, and it works, and that's why they do it. But Albacete approaching this a little bit differently. Cancelo, Lamine Yamal, Cancelo, Lamine Yamal, Cancelo. Fakes the cross here, fakes it again, goes back to Lamine around the edge of the box here. Lamine Yamal looking to just gently chip it into the box in towards Frenkie de Jong, but Lamine telling Frenkie that that one was supposed to go towards Robert Lewandowski. And, well, Bernabeu now looking to find help down the left. Cancelo believes he was taken down. Montero agrees. Well, not Cancelo, actually, Marc Bernal. was the victim there. I believe Puertas, the culprit, and Barca now looking to build once more. Hasn't yielded many results so far, and barring that one chance, Barca haven't really been able to do too much in front of goal in terms of actually big chances, actual scoring opportunities. I mean, looking at the numbers, both teams have had a single shot. Not even a shot on target, just a single shot. The XGs so far are 0.02 for Albacete and 0.08 for Barça. You're talking an expected goals rate of less than zero point 0.1. Do you understand how low that is? That is ridiculously low, especially for Barça. Especially for Barça. That is ridiculously low. And for Albacete, again, they've done really well. But one thing, comparing this to the previous games, especially against teams Barca played in from this league, uh, it hasn't. I mean, some of the other teams have looked ridiculously dangerous in transition. Albacete today have not looked that. They haven't. And so that's sort of the silver lining here for Barca is after a half like this, at least the saving grace here is that Albacete haven't been incredibly dangerous on the attack. They haven't been playing with incredibly intense transitions, um, a lot of pace down the flanks, shots from distance. None of that has been the case, which Barca should be very, very happy with. As Dani Olmo thought he might have had a chance there, but it wasn't meant to be. Of course, the game I was referring to earlier was that against Guadalajara, where, to their credit, in spite of Barca's result, Guadalajara actually looked very dangerous going forward. They did look very dangerous going forward, and for a team coming from La Liga Dos or even the third division, uh, you don't have anything to lose. They could play the worst brand of football and not care as long as they got out of here with a win, and that's the truth. And for Albacete, they're a team that is currently doing very, very well in their league. They're on a 5-game unbeaten run, a 4-game winning run. And well, in the league, they're not doing incredibly well numbers wise overall. They've played 24 games. They only have 33 points to their name. It's not looking great. They've had as many wins as they've had losses this season, 9, and they've had 6 draws. Not the worst, but not the best. But in the last couple of games, it's really picked up for them. It has really, really picked up for them. And so, you look at that and you go, well, that is not bad. That is not bad. Marcus Rashford went down there and held his head a little bit in pain. Now he is in a free kick position, similar to the one he scored from last game. This one is taken by Lamine Yamal towards the plethora of Barca players in the box, picked up by Cancelo on the bounce, and his low-driven cross goes into the hands of Lithuania. And I believe David Bernabeu might have picked up a yellow after that. So what just happened on Marcus Rashford? It looked that way at least. Araujo with a really good tackle there to beat David Bernabeu, who has pace, by the way. He is a speedy, speedy fella, David Bernabeu. Well, he didn't get one on Rashford, but he's getting one now. And after he blazed past the initial obstacle, we'll have to watch it back again just to make sure. But he is getting a yellow card here, David Bernabeu. And the man down is Ronald Araujo. So I believe he blazed past João Cancelo. Araujo goes in to slide the ball out of play. And as a result, David Bernabeu slides into Ronald Araujo. And if you've missed it so far, Barca's captain has been Ronald Araujo for tonight. And for Albacete, it's been Lithuania. And if you've just joined us, welcome. It is still 0-0. And we are roughly 25, 26 minutes into this fixture. Barca yet to score, and realistically, yet to really merit scoring, quite frankly. Because again, Barca have had one shot and it wasn't on target. Albacete have had one shot which was on target, which quite frankly I'm failing to remember right now. That's how small an amount of chances we've seen in this game is. They're genuinely so far between. The shot that Albacete had, I believe, was from Puertas down the left, but we're talking about the 10th minute, ninth minute, very early on, right? And it wasn't super dangerous either. And that's pretty much been it. And across here from Cancelo, it's looks like it's been headed away. Looks like we will see a corner here for Barca. But again, if you're Barca, this is not the kind of game you want to have. You want to be doing, well, quite frankly, a lot better. A lot better. Quarterfinal of the Copa del Rey. You don't want to risk doing a Real Madrid, which is crazy to say this season, given how previous seasons have been. But you don't want to risk that. You don't want to risk losing a game like this in a setting like this because you just can't afford that if you're Barca. At this point, you can't afford it. You know, you won the Supercopa. You've gone pretty far in the Copa del Rey. Now you're in the quarterfinals. That's pretty good. But then equally, you don't want you don't want to lose a game like this. And of course, as I'm saying that, Lamine Yamal had a very amazing run, really, down the right hand side. Looks like he slipped on the way in towards the goal, and well, he wound up taking Neva with him. So no foul called, and it does look like a slip. Genuinely, having watched it back on the replay, I'm curious what our viewers think. So please let us know in the live chats down below. Please do let us know what you think. But well, to me, it just looks like a good old slip, you know. And again, it's not again like I said, it's not like Barca truly have been. It's really not like they've truly been in a position where you can say, okay, well, they've they deserve to be ahead. They've been unlucky. It's not been anything like that. Realistically, it hasn't. Barca have just not been good enough. And Albacete now with a potential chance here. A shot goes into the hands of Joan Garcia. Was good perseverance from Albacete as Marc Bernal ran himself right into trouble, picked out by the Albacete attacking line, and then the shot ultimately into the hands of Joan Garcia. Which again, if you're Barca, you'd want to see a little bit better. Speaking of a little bit better, here is Lamine Yamal down the right looking for Jacques Cancelo. Cancelo fakes a shot, goes back to Lamine. Lamine just about gets to it, tries a cross. It's blocked. Falls for Marc Bernal, who has support by Lamine Yamal down the right. Goes down the line himself. Bernal, it's a really good run. Can't keep it though. As Albacete strip him off the ball. Bernabeu involved in the play here as they look to play out the back, and it's a really good sequence of play from Albacete. Unfortunately for them, though, not quite within the four lines of the football pitch, and so it does go out of play. And of course, do remember that these live streams that you're watching now, whether you can watch these on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and obviously, if you miss a part of it, you can watch it back on YouTube. You can watch it back on Twitter and Facebook. I believe TikTok as well. And we're trying to sort of expand where we do this type of content, because we understand that not everyone is on Twitter, not everyone is on Facebook, and so on and so forth. And so we are all on all of those platforms. And if you haven't followed us yet, please go do that. It is Bloggranagram on every platform except for Instagram, where it is the Bloggranagram, all in one word. Um, and that's pretty much it. And of course, also, if you would like to support us financially, you can do so for as low as a singular dollar donation. A single dollar, $1, one time, doesn't even have to be reoccurring, as low as that. Or you can buy some merch and look cool while doing it, and support us in the process. Of course, helps us keep the light on, helps us make content like this for you guys more consistently, um, on a bigger scale. And so, if you want to do any of that, you can go down to bloganagram.com, where you can also find all the latest regarding the club. We don't post everything on there just because of the fact that some platforms are just better suited for quick updates. But all the bigger pieces you will find on there, as well as press releases, stuff like that we post, match analysis after the match, before the match. All of that is on bloganagram.com. So go do check that out if you haven't already. And if you're watching this on any of those platforms that I mentioned, and you aren't following us already, well, what are you waiting for? It's free. So follow us. And we appreciate the support you've shown us over the last couple of years as well, especially for content like this. It means the world to us. And of course, we hope you enjoy it just as much as we enjoy making it. So back to the game. Barca back on their feet, back with the ball. Everyone still healthy and fit as Barca looked to attack down the right. Lamine Yamal thought about a cross, went back to Ronald Araujo. Now over for Eric Garcia as he finds Frankie de Jong, who's got Gerard Martin hugging the touchline down the left. Goes over to Cancelo, though, on the right. Cancelo now for Lamine Yamal. Lamine up against two. Fakes it, goes down the right-hand side, up towards the byline. It's a cross in towards the back post. It's shot by Gerard Martin, and it's not a bad strike from Gerard Martin either, as it looked deflected, but seemingly wasn't, as Barca are not preparing for a corner. Let's watch it back again. Well, I mean, at least he took the shot, right? At least he took the shot. That's what really matters. Not the best of shots from Gerard Martin. And, well, Barca with two shots, all off target, 33 minutes in. Albacete going long, denied that time by Barca. And again, I've been saying this, and before I say this again, I do need you to know that Albacete's left center back, the 29-year-old Carlos Neva, was taken off after that, after a tiny collision. Well, it's not a tiny collision, it's a collision. And so has been substituted here. And it is Jesus Vallejo. Yes, that Jesus Vallejo, the ex-Real Madrid, ex-Wolverhampton center back, is now playing. He's now on the pitch up against Barca. And a chance here maybe for Albacete down the left-hand side. Barca with a lot of men back. The cross goes in towards Medina. It's dealt with by the Barca back line, specifically by Eric Garcia, who's put on a very good performance once again. And again, it's been a tough game for Barca, but not for the reasons you'd think. I mean, Albacete have deployed a low block, but again, it's not like they've been ridiculously fast in transition. With Guadalajara, they very clearly had a game plan in transition where you had these very fast wingers. They knew exactly where to be. The strikers knew exactly where to be. That is not the case here. Albacete are sort of saying, okay, we're going to be in transition. And then they're doing the thing Barca do, which is we'll figure it out eventually, right? That's what Albacete have been doing. Going forward, we'll figure it out when we get there, right? Rashford here with a cross in. It's a low driven in towards Dani Olmo. Albacete get it. Olmo gets it back and finds Frankie de Jong. De Jong with a good touch to get away from pressure. Finds Marc Bernal around the edge of the box here for Lamine Yamal. Looks to cut inside. Does. Lamine Yamal with a strike. It's blocked by the Albacete defense. Bounced off of a midfielder and into another. And Albacete now with a potential chance down the right, or so it looked before Eric Garcia put on the afterburners and beat Medina for pace, giving it back to Joan Garcia. And Barca now back in possession. Cancelo in towards Lamine Yamal down the right, down the line, and it is not a good ball. Lamine Yamal seemingly upset with the lack of support inside. And, well, either that or David Bernabeu. One of the two. And on the replay, I would imagine it's David Bernabeu. As Lithuania here goes down the right to his defense. Barca won it back brilliantly. Captain play by Gerard Martin. Looks to find Lewandowski. Looks to turn away. And Dummy, the defender, falls in the process. And while it hasn't been a very gritty game, there's definitely been elements of physicality to it. As Javi Villar there, the man to, well, force Lewandowski down. And it will be a free kick for Barca. Javier, of course, entering from the back of Robert Lewandowski. Dangerous tackle, but not one that warrants a yellow. And now Lamine Yamal and Marcus Rashford stepping up to take this free kick. Lamine ready to throw it into the mixer. Rashford ready to take a pop on goal. And it is thrown into the mixer by Lamine Yamal down the right. Well, down towards the right-hand side. It's denied. And Olmo with a shot. It's blocked by... Well, Barca are saying it was the defender. Albacete are saying it was a Barca player. Looks like it was an Albacete defender heading it out of play. And now Marcus Rashford ready to take this corner. Of course, Rafinha out with a muscle overload, and so won't be joining us tonight. Marcus Rashford appearing in his stead. And for Barca, so far, it hasn't been a great game, but it also has not been terrible. Although, as Barca, you do want way more than this. Lamine Yamal, edge of the box for Cancelo. Cross in towards Lewandowski, amongst others. Barca can't get the ball in possession inside the box, and so ultimately foul play ensues, and it will be a free kick from inside Albacete's box for the home side. As David Bernabeu claims he fell due to Marc Bernal bothering him. And Jose Montero agreeing with that. We'll see if Barca can get a goal here before halftime. That would be good. Almost strips it off of them. Marcus Rashford back to Dani Olmo. Frankie de Jong for Lamine Yamal. Goal! 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 Golazo! Barca break the deadlock. 38 minutes in. It is Lamine Yamal who puts it into the back of the net. A very good finish from Lamine Yamal, in truth. And it is won back through a joint effort of Dani Olmo and Marcus Rashford, two signings who have been heavily criticized by Barca fans since joining the club. Both of those joining forces to win the ball back. Again, it's really good play. Frankie de Jong involved as well, finding Lamine Yamal. Lamine, as he's almost stepping backwards, it's actually a brilliant piece of play between Marcus Rashford and Frankie de Jong. And Lamine Yamal, as he's getting the ball, again, a brilliant pass from Frankie de Jong as well, right between the two defenders, one of them sliding to get to it. Lamine Yamal first times it into the back of the net, a curler in behind Lithuanian, who hasn't had a whole lot to do, has looked decent when he's been called upon, but again, brilliant play from Frankie de Jong and brilliant play from Lamine Yamal there to get the goal for Barca. Marcus Rashford pressing well. And Barca pressing on despite the lead, which does stand. Of course, there were calls of a potential foul, a potential offside. None of that, as Barca have the lead. And it looks like we might have ourselves a bit of a problem here, as some of the Albacete players appear to be telling the referee that João Cancelo has already gotten a yellow and so should be sent off. We'll watch it back on the replay. was Cancelo up against David Bernabeu, who has had his fair share of knocks in this game. And we'll see if a card is issued. Of course, should Cancelo get another yellow, it will be a sending off, which would be a terrible start to life back in Barcelona. Looks like he's just about evaded. And an attempted chance here down the left-hand side. It looked like Albacete were going for the cross. It's well defended by Ronald Araujo, who pushes them out to a couple of pats on the back and high fives from his teammates as the Barca defense convene for this corner. And we'll have to see here if Albacete can make something happen out of this. It's an in-swinger. It's a lob ball in towards the back post. Albacete just about get to it, but instantly pressed by Barca. Go back down the line. And a cross in towards the middle. It's rejected by Barca. Albacete get the ball back and play it all the way back to Lithuanian, who goes long. Barca here attempting to play the offside trap. Ultimately opted for a more aggressive approach as Gerard Martin heads it out of play. Again, it's been a good cameo. At this point, not really much of a cameo from Gerard Martin at this point. More so a half regular. The other half, of course, being Alejandro Balde when fit. And of course, for Hansi Flick, plenty of players he can call upon tonight, including Alejandro Balde on the bench today, as is Jules Koundé and Pau Cubarsí, Fermin Lopez, Marc Casado, as well as, of course, Ferran Torres and Rooney Bargi. And a ball here down the left. It's a chance for Barca. Marcus Rashford crosses it in towards Robert Lewandowski, and he's just missed it. The Polish striker just missed it. It's a brilliant low-driven cross from Marcus Rashford, who, again, at least for me, continues to impress. Frenkie de Jong has had a very, very good game tonight so far. Looked very involved. Just really been a part of play everywhere for Barca tonight. And that time could have been a key part of a goal if Lewandowski didn't just mistime it. Unlucky from the Polish striker as well. Got in a really good position at a really good time. Just timed it off by a nanosecond. As Barca look to build again, Lamine Yamal back in for Dani Olmo. Olmo looks to leave it for Cancelo, but found the Portuguese in offside position. Kept the ball instead. Olmo now back for Lamine. Lamine with a touch in and unable to keep it as Albacete pushed well. Now down the left-hand side, David Bernabeu turning on the afterburners here, supported in by Medina and Puertas. Goes for Capi, who leaves it. Here is Aguado. Aguado, a cross in towards the back post, and the control on that is terrible. It is a terrible, terrible first touch from Albacete. That was a huge opportunity. And I believe it was Puertas who just could not control it. That is unlucky for Albacete, but Barca, well, not really doing themselves any favors there as Albacete gave the ball away to Lamine Yamal. Lamine tried to time the pass as a first-time pass to cast them off guard. Instead, it went right back to Lithuanian. And Barca squandering the opportunity to get a very quick second as Aguado looking to make something happen. It's a really good ball in from Moreno. In for Puertas. Up against Araujo. And it's a brilliant tackle from Ronald Araujo. It is a brilliant return from the Uruguayan. And, well, Tony Puertas will be kicking himself. It was a very decent run to begin with. Moreno picked him out brilliantly. He then faked taking a touch, and then the touch he did take was quite heavy, allowed for Ronald Araujo to not only recover pace-wise, but also get on the inside of him, blocking his path to goal, where, of course, Joan Garcia was ready. But Araujo, with some heroics there, 44 minutes in, to make sure Albacete did not score. Now the question is, they have a corner. Will this count for something? And it is Medina who gets ready to take this corner down the right-hand side. It is an outswinger, and it's chipped into the mixer, denied by Barca. And Albacete going all the way back to their line of defense. Olmo pressing, as is Lamine Yamal, forcing them to go long. A good header to reject the ongoing attack by Barca. Lamine Yamal picks it up, does well to keep it. Gives it for Frenkie de Jong on the right. Frenkie looking for a long ball. Ultimately opts for the safer option. Finds Marc Bernal, has Eric Garcia in support, goes back to Frenkie de Jong. Now the Dutchman moving forward ever so slowly. Has support down the right in Cancelo and Lamine Yamal. Goes for Lamine. Lamine back to Frenkie de Jong. Frenkie with some flair finds Lamine Yamal. Lamine with a cross in towards Dani Olmo! And it's just wide. Decent header from Dani Olmo. Never really been his strong suit. Never really been an aerial threat, Dani Olmo, but did well there. And again, Barca should be thanking their lucky stars that Tony Puertas wasn't able to control the opportunity that Aguado gifted him a couple of minutes ago. It was a very good cross into the box. Puertas did everything right, but then as soon as he had to head it towards goal, he headed it back for a cutback, but no one was there. Then as he was looking to recover the ball, slipped and fell. And well, looks like Barca as well as Albacete might have a bit of an issue. It looks like Frenkie de Jong and Capi might have collided. Capi the one holding his head. As well, Frenkie de Jong leaped to get the ball ahead of Capi. And then on his way down, his head landed on top of Capi's head. And so Frenkie doesn't seem to be doing all that bad, but Capi is of course being checked. And this is something that I've spoken about in length for a long time now, is the necessity of really looking into these potential collisions and looking into these potential head injuries, because they are incredibly serious. And for the most part, they don't really get taken all that seriously, it feels like. I mean, if you're watching the game and you see a player go down with a potential head injury, he might still play the rest of the half. Even if it looks terrible, he still might play the rest of the half. And it just should not be like that. It absolutely shouldn't be like that. And so that's the problem. So for Barca, again, Frenkie de Jong seems okay. For Albacete, Capi seems decent. But if you're Albacete at this point in time, you might feel inclined to take him off at halftime. That's probably what should happen. As Barca look to attack down the left with a throw in here, it doesn't really come to much as Albacete won it back. Good piece of play here as they are pressed by Barca. Vallejo and Villar do well. And it's a swing down the left-hand side, down the line. Not too much trouble for Ronald Araujo, who pings it back for Joan Garcia, who lobs it forward. Barca now, after a little bit of volleyball inside the midfield circle, keep possession well. Gerard Martin finds Marcus Rashford. Martin now back to Eric Garcia, has support down the right-hand side as he swings it across for João Cancelo. Here is Lamine Yamal. Lamine, supported by João Cancelo on the overlap, goes back to Dani Olmo. And Lamine Yamal just taking it at a snail's pace right now as Barca look to run down the clock, and they successfully have. It is halftime. Barca with a 1-0 lead, a very narrow one. And not just a narrow one in terms of the scoreboard, but in fact, a narrow one in terms of everything that's gone on throughout the opening 45 minutes plus injury time. Barca have found themselves unable to really break down this defense and this low block. They haven't really been able to take as many shots from outside the box either, or at the very least have not had the courage to do so. So for Albacete, despite the 1-0 scoreline, this is not a bad result. And if you're Albacete, this is definitely a result you can come back from. So for Barca, a lot of changes needed in terms of play. Maybe not so much in terms of personnel, but of course for Hansi Flick, just to reiterate, he does have a lot of options, both in terms of Chesney and Kochen in goal, of course, which we probably won't see unless Joan Garcia needs to be substituted. Alejandro Balde, Jules Koundé, the two wide player options, the two fullback options in defense. Of course, Pau Kubarsi also an option there. You could also slot Kunde in at center back realistically. Fermin Lopez is an option. Marc Casado is an option. El Tiburon, Ferran Torres, Rooney Bargi. Uh, there's just a lot of options for Barca. And then, of course, the unlikely Tommy Marquez or Tomas Marquez is, of course, also an option. But we probably won't be seeing much of him tonight, realistically, unless Barca go up by a couple of goals. Although, of course, it would be beautiful to see a player like Marquez get a chance here, just to sort of show himself. And for Albacete, it's been a quiet half. They haven't had to do too much in terms of aggressive defensive play, but they have lost Carlos Neva for the remaining 45 due to injury, and he's been replaced by Jesus Vallejo, who, believe it or not, is now 29 years of age. Of course, the ex Real Madrid player at uh, now at Albacete. And for Albacete, some of the names you might realize are Jose Lazo on the bench, Hefte Betancor on the bench, Victor Valverde, and Samuel Obeng. So those some of the main options at strike at well on the bench. Obeng, of course, a striker. Betancor, of course, a striker as well. But then not really too much in the way of big names. They're Gala 11, um, barring injury, of course. Someone like Higinio Marin is injured with a thigh injury at the moment, and so will not participate today, obviously. But of course, could be the other option there. But more or less, the one of the, if not the strongest 11 that Albacete and Gonzalez realistically could field here today. And well, of course, for the 46-year-old coach, it is not a bad game. If you're looking at it from his angle, this is a good game. You just beat Real Madrid. You're on a winning run. And yes, I will keep repeating that they beat Real Madrid because they did, and they deserve full credit for that, even if people don't want to give it, right? But again, it's it's a good result for Albacete. This genuinely it is, and if you're Albacete, you will be very happy that you've only conceded a single goal, especially the way it was given. I mean, it wasn't like Barca, the first 45 tried to just break down the attack, the midfield, the defense, right? That's what Barca tried to do. The one goal that Barca scored, the only goal of tonight's match so far, comes from a mistake from Albacete. Barca pressing them, Albacete giving up the ball too easy, and Barca actually punishing them for it. That's the goal. It's not like Barca had one of these perfect sequences of 26 touches from 11 and a half players. It wasn't that. So again, for Barca, not a good game so far. I mean, it's decent, but it's nowhere near where Barca should be, right? To give you a bit of a stat here just before we go into a brief halftime break. Um, Barca have now gone up from 0.08 xG, I believe it was, to 0.38, including the goal scored. 6 shots, only one on target, the goal. And so for Albacete, 2 shots, one on target. And of course, the chance for Tony Puertas not counting as a shot because he technically headed it away from goal. Um, but again, it's just not good enough. You have 71% possession, which is great. 92% passing accuracy, which is great. Close to 300 passes, which is great. But again, not too much going on in terms of progression of the ball, really. So, you know, you can talk about winning chances all you want. That's not the point here. The point here is not can Barca win this, because Barca should win this. There should be zero excuse for Barca not to win this game. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Barca playing the football they should play in a game like this against an opponent like this, who, yes, they beat Real Madrid, but Barca have been cruising lately for the most part. So this should not be a game where Albacete can really trouble them. But again, we saw it against FC Copenhagen. And no one thought FC Copenhagen would put up as much of a fight as they did. And Barca just about won that game. Scoreline or not, they just about won that game. So Again, is it surprising? Not really. But if you're Barca, you gotta do more. And the interesting part here, of course, will be whether we'll see any changes from Hansi Flick in terms of personnel. I personally doubt it. I don't think we will. Maybe Olmo for Fermin, but honestly, Olmo for me has been one of the highlights of the first half. Um, but obviously, you could talk about that, or maybe I just don't. I don't see Flick making any changes unless it's like Cancelo for Kunde or Cancelo for Balde, just because Cancelo has a yellow and looks like he wants a red card. Like, it's very rare that I've seen a player look like they want to get sent off, but that's how it looks from Cancelo. The amount of tackles he did early on, there's no reason for you to slide into him like that time and time again. So that might be the only one that I would expect. But aside from that, I don't see any reason for Barca to introduce Fermin. I think Olmo has done just fine in that number 10 position, and he's coordinated it well with Frankie de Jong. So when Frankie pushes up, Olmo actually is further back, as we saw on the goal as well. So for me, that midfield is working. I would not change it personally, but we'll see what Hansi Flick does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you guys for a few minutes. You can go get your drinks and your snacks and all that, and I will be back in just a few minutes for the second half of Albacete v Barça in the Copa del Rey quarterfinal. Stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, we are back. Welcome back to the second half of Albacete v Barça. I'm Omar Hawash. Haven't changed from the first half. It's still me, still here. And speaking of still here, everyone from Barça starting 11 is still here. Everyone from Albacete starting 11 is still here, except for except for Carlos Neva, who got taken off for Jesus Vallejo due to an injury. And Barça have started the half off strong. Dani Olmo close to scoring, just about. And looks like Fermin Lopez might be warming up. And well, Dani Olmo really close to scoring against Rashford, did really, really well to set him up. And David Bernabeu, the hero so far, at least the most eye-catching player for me for Albacete has been David Bernabeu tonight. Cleared it off the line in incredible fashion. The one change that we are seeing is Jacques Cancelo taking off for Pauco Barci. Not really a surprise, if I'm being honest. And I think what that means is we'll probably see either a Fernando Araujo or Eric Garcia play down the right. It's probably going to be Eric Garcia. Looks that way so far, at least. But Ferran Torres, Fermin, Balde, Rooney Bargi warming up. We've already seen the introduction of Paco Barci, so no second yellow for Jacques Cancelo, which is good news for Barca, but not the best display from Jacques Cancelo either. I thought he did decent to begin with, but you know, with the just overall recklessness of his defensive play today, it's honestly just not been great. Now, that's the truth. It's honestly just not been great. And now we're seeing a potential chance for Albacete. It's a strike in towards Jean Garcia, and it's punched away by Jean Garcia. Close. Very, very close. And it will be a corner for the home side. Their third of the night. Barca have had two. And it is an in-swinger in towards the mixer. It's cleared out by Barca and goes out for a throw-in for Albacete near the halfway line. And, well, let's just see what Barca do here for the second half. Again, not much in the way of changes. It is still 1-0, remember, from the first half. The goal scored by Lamine Yamal, set up by Frenkie de Jong. Barca now winning the ball back through Frenkie. Olmo looking to find support down the right end. Lamine Yamal. Ultimately, the ball does go astray. And it's picked out by David Bernabeu. Again, brilliant performance from him so far. Puertas now finds himself surrounded by Barca players, forced to go back. Barca claim that it should have been their throw-in. Jose Montero believes it was an Albacete throw-in. Barca unhappy with that decision. Ultimately, though, will be a throw-in for the home side here at the Estadio Carlos Belmonte. Cleared by Barca. Another throw-in for Albacete, this time cleared by Pauco Barci. And it is taken here by Vallejo. Down the left for Puertas. Looks to cross it in towards Medina and company. Cleared by Barca on the first time of asking. Vallejo looks to switch it diagonally over for the supporting cast in Aguado down the right, but it's cleared well by Gerard Martin. Marcus Rashford looking to follow up, unable to keep it, but does get Barca throwing. And again, if you're Tony Puertas, you've been unlucky. Realistically, that's pretty much how it's gone. But equally, you'll be kicking yourself for not having made more out of the chances that you have gotten against Barca tonight. And if you're Barca, you're going to want to do a whole lot better, as they're pretty much causing their own problems here down the left hand side with a diagonal switch over. Just about gotten to it there at Garcia. And Lamine Yamal decided to slow down the play a little bit just to give Barca time to breathe. Frankie de Jong and for Marc Bernal. Brilliant play by Barca here down the left hand side. Now, a potential opportunity here to cross down the left. Marcus Rashford cuts in, finds Bernal across for Eric Garcia. Garcia with a chip ball in towards the back post towards Marcus Rashford. It's a very, very good ball from Eric Garcia. But Lithuania did very well to claim it. And now on the counter attack, they've been forced to slow down to a crawl. Eric Garcia with a really good step in. Lamine Yamal finds Olmo. Olmo, Lamine Yamal, Olmo. That is brilliant. Olmo in for Lewandowski. A heavy first touch with his chest into space. Does fall to ground on the way there and believes there was a foul. To me, that did look like one. Jose Montero did not think so. And now Albacete can build on their own down the right hand side. And it's a mistimed pass ultimately landing for Pau Cubarsí. Frankie de Jong down the left, supported by Marc Bernal, who's almost taken on a bit of a libero role here in the, well, sort of a three at the back, really, for Barca in the build up play. Frankie used more to stretch out the play in the half space, allowing players like Lamine and Marcus Rashford to hug the touchline, as well as Gerard Martin when he's been pushing up, as Barca have a man fall on the ground here. David Bernabeu again at the forefront of this. And again, a very good performance. He is already on a yellow card, though, so we'll have to watch his back. But completely unrelated to this, like we said earlier, these streams do go on every single platform. So that is Facebook, that is YouTube, that is Twitter, that is TikTok. So if you are watching us on one of those platforms and you like what you see, please do not forget to follow or subscribe on the relevant platform. As Rashford with an in-swinger here towards the sea of Barca players. It goes away from everyone. But Olmo here down the left has got it. Finds Bernal. Bernal with a cross in. Rejected by Albacete at the first time of asking. Will go out for a corner. Barca with a corner here in the 55th. And what can they do here? Marcus Rashford on his strong right foot. Ready with the in-swinger. Javier Villar marking Araujo. Garcia also marked. We'll see what Barca can do here. Marcus Rashford ready to take this, it seems, but looks like a bit of a tussle going on there with Villar and Araujo. And now it is being taken. And Rashford with a cross in towards Ronald Araujo. Goal, 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 goal de Capitan. Gol el Barça. Ronald Araujo heads it into the back of the net. Barça extend their lead to 2. And well, I am pretty sure that is the first time Barca have scored directly from a corner this season. And their set piece streak on goals continues. Marcus Rashford with the free kick, direct free kick last time out. Now with a setup and assist to Ronald Araujo, who heads it into the back of the net. Brilliant leap from the Uruguayan as well. Got away from Villar, which, again, if you're Villar, that's not good because, well, Villar was the man guarding Araujo. Araujo just at the right time puts his shoulder out, pushes himself away from Villar, and then just nods it across and back into the back of the net. Goes over to hug Lamine Yamal, goes over to hug Hansi Flick for the goal celebration. Brilliant goal from Barca. Ronald Araujo on the score sheet. And now Barca with another attack on the right. Lamine Yamal with a ball in towards the back post. And Lewandowski got to it in the end, but ultimately into the hands of Lithuania. That should have been the third. Let's see what Albacete can do here down the right-hand side. It's a decent run here from Aguado. He's somehow managed to get away, but on the second time of asking was dragged down by Gerard Martin. Good defending from Gerard Martin, from Barca's number 18, who has done really, really well here today. Once again. And again, it is Frenkie de Jong stretching out to the left-hand side to help out Gerard Martin, help Marcus Rashford hug the touchline on the left. And then you have Olmo stretching the other way, combining with Lamine Yamal down the right for the most part. Now it is a free kick into the mixer, and it goes over. Decent chance for Albacete. And Barca now looking to attack on the counter quickly. Lamine Yamal is in support down the right. Dani Olmo on the ball here down the left. Swings it across for Eric Garcia. Leaves it for Lamine Yamal. Side flick back to Garcia. Lamine. Ball now with Gerard Martin. Here is Marcus Rashford down the left. Back for Pau Cubarsí. Good ball in for Bernal. Back to Ronald Araujo. Araujo in for Eric Garcia. Lamine Yamal, first touch in for Olmo. Olmo back to Lamine. Lamine, good few touches to drag out the defense here for Albacete, looking to maybe open up a gap in behind them. Lamine, brilliant ball through the lines here for Eric Garcia. It's very well picked up there by Jesus Vallejo. Combining now with Melendez. And here come Albacete down the right. It's a very good move, but it's again very well picked out by Gerard Martin. And what a game he's had today. He has looked really, really, really sharp. Gerard Martin again. And interestingly enough, again, Aguado has been the main man down the right hand side. We haven't seen much of Capi. He's sort of been tucked in a little bit more. Medina has sort of been playing more centrally and Puertas more off the left hand side. And what we're seeing now is a substitution here. Well, two, in fact. Hogo in for David Bernabeu for Albacete, and Melendez, who I think has done decent so far, taken off for Hefte Betancourt, of course. And well, for Hefte Betancourt, this is a game where you'd want him to maybe get something out of it. He's had 5 goals this season out of 33 shots, and that's not terrible. But in a game like this, he is one that you'd like to see score if you're Albacete. It is still 2-0 for Barca, as Dani Olmo here gets it from Frenkie de Jong, believes there was a handball. Jose Montero disagrees, and ball now goes back to Barca. Joan Garcia just about controls it, and then sends it back the way of Frenkie de Jong in between two pressing Albacete players. Brilliant composure again from Joan Garcia, and again, a bargain of a signing for Barca, and continues to prove that even in games like this. Olmo flicks it in for Eric Garcia. Here is Lamine Yamal down the right. Lamine waiting for the overlap. Faked the ball down the line. Went back for Marc Bernal instead. Bernal for Frenkie. Here is Gerard Martin. Marcus Rashford looks to get on his good foot. Does. Fakes the cross. Still on the edge of the box. Leaves it for Marc Bernal. Here's Eric Garcia now for Lamine Yamal. Lamine, good move. Lamine! The shot is blocked. Olmo looked to pick it up, decided not to, and decided to leave it for Marc Bernal, who also didn't get to the ball. Albacete now in possession, but pressed heavily by Barca. Forced to go all the way back to their line of defense, and now might be a chance down the right-hand side. Aguado, a good swing across. It's a diagonal ball here in for Hefte. Hefte up against Araujo. Hefte! And it's wide. Good introduction. Good introduction from Hefte. It's a good ball to send him through as well. Hefte Betancourt did very well to beat Ronald Araujo, wrong foot him just enough to actually get a shot on goal, but ultimately going nowhere. Araujo did very well to to make sure he was at least just slightly off balance when taking the shot, and ultimately wasn't able to get the curl on it that he wanted, as you saw it veer away from goal and into the stands. Barca still up by 2, and this half a little bit more convincingly than the first, as Barca continued to build here through Lamine Yamal and Frenkie de Jong. Frenkie jogging over to Pau Cubarsí, supported by Gerard Martin, finds him. Martin driving forward, in for Olmo. Dani Olmo! Denied by Lithuanian. It's a brilliant strike. It is a brilliant strike from Dani Olmo. And that is exactly what Dani Olmo brings, is a threat from, well, from distance. And he's shown it again there. Unlucky not to score that, but definitely testing Lithuanian tonight. Barca with about 5 players warming up so far. And we'll see whose number gets drawn. Rashford with a cross in off the corner. It's an outswinger this time. Doesn't come to much. Lamine Yamal ultimately gets it and goes all the way back to Joan Garcia. Frenkie de Jong there to pick it up. Finds Marc Bernal. Bernal supported by Eric Garcia. Here's Rashford. Back to Garcia. Rashford. Garcia down the right. Looks for a cross. It's blocked. It bounces back to him. He finds Bernal on the edge of the box. Now Garcia back to Rashford down the right. Rashford. It's a crossing and it's deflected off of the Albacete defense and into the hands of Lithuanian. And Barca looking for the third. Albacete looking for their first. And, well, given everything, a 2-0 scoreline, quite frankly, would not be that surprising. But again, if you're Barca, it's not like this. This has not been one of those games where the opposition is completely dominated. What a move by Villar there, pressed by Rashford, who now finds himself down the right. Frenkie de Jong, brilliant step in to win the ball back. Jose Montero didn't think so and does give a foul the way of Albacete. Frenkie looking to laugh it off here. And we are seeing a triple substitution for Barca. Marc Casado coming on. Ferran Torres, El Tiburon coming on, and Fermin Lopez all coming on. Marcus Rashford off. Robert Lewandowski off. And the last one looks to be Marc Bernal, yes. Marc Bernal is replaced by Marc Casado. Ferran Torres replaces Robert Lewandowski. And Fermin Lopez, presumably, replacing Dani Olmo. We'll have to see. No. Fermin Lopez replaces Marcus Rashford. So Fermin, either him or Dani Olmo will play off the left-hand side. Ferran Torres, Robert Lewandowski, positionally like for like. And then Marc Bernal and Marc Casado positionally like for like as well. So the midfield now, Frenkie de Jong, Marc Casado, Dani Olmo, Fermin on the left, Lamine on the right, Ferran Torres up front. The back line is now Eric Garcia on the right, Araujo Cubarsí in the middle, and Gerard Martin down the left. And then between the sticks is Joan Garcia. That is how Barca line up for the, well, so far for the remaining half an hour. Frenkie de Jong for Fermin down through the middle. Fermin the brilliant ball in here for Dani Olmo. Olmo moves away from Lithuanian, but he recovered brilliantly as Olmo stepped away from Lithuanian's grasp, found himself in front of almost an open goal. And just as he controlled himself to take the shot and had to turn over to take the shot, Lithuanian had already recovered incredibly well. Fermin with a brilliant ball. Brilliant ball for Dani Olmo. And again, that's the connection that if you're Barca, you want to foster that connection between the two, because if you can have those two playing off of each other, you have two incredibly dangerous attacking weapons. Again, Fermin Lopez did incredibly well to find Olmo. Olmo with a very good run. He then takes a step away from Lithuanian. Lithuanian is now on the ground, but because of that step and because of Lithuanian's point of entry, he ultimately forces Olmo off balance. So Olmo has to turn around and try to Rabona it with his left foot into the back of the net. Obviously, could not generate enough power nor curve to beat the goalkeeper there. But again, brilliant goalkeeping from the 35-year-old. But very good chance creation from Barca. If you're Olmo, you would want to do a little bit more. But realistically, after that first touch, he did what he could, and he did quite well. And now maybe a chance for Barca again. Fermin finds Lamine Yamal. Lamine down the right. Lamine looking to pass it across for Ferran Torres. And Lithine with a brilliant save again. If you had to really give the man of the match award to someone from Albacete, for me it would have been David Bernabeu. But if Lithuania keeps this up, he very well could be in contention. Lamine Yamal again. This time it's him. Great ball across the entire line of defense for Ferran Torres, who does the right thing and tries to keep it a low-driven shot across the face of goal. Tries to wrong foot Lithuania because he's pushing towards Ferran. Ultimately, the stretched leg is what actually gets the ball. And if you're for Barca, not a third goal yet, but again, this is more like it for Barca. And just as soon as Fermin Lopez comes on, the complexion of the game changes 180 degrees, which is wonderful to see. But again, it does beg the question: is there room for Dani Olmo on this side? And I think if you have Dani Olmo and Fermin Lopez playing off of each other, there is. But if you have Rafinha and you have Marcus Rashford in the mix, it's going to be problematic at some point as Barca again find themselves potentially through here down the right. Lamine Yamal rides the tackle from Vallejo, finds Ferran Torres. Ferran steps away. Ferran skies it. Ferran Torres. ¿Qué haces? He did really well initially, then brought himself off balance. And again, Fermin Lopez finds Lamine. Lamine over for El Tiburon. And again, he's finding him. Ferran Torres is getting into good positions, but this is the story of Ferran Torres. He'll have a game where he'll be absolutely brilliant and have a game where he'll be not so brilliant, to put it mildly. And looks like this might be one of those games, at least in the finishing department. He just hasn't been good enough so far. Araujo on the ball now for Barca. Here is Pauco Barci down the left-hand side. 70 minutes in, Barca continue to build. Dani Olmo in for Fermin. Now for Eric Garcia, supported by Lamine Yamal, hugging the touchline again. Lamine, brilliant flick for the first touch. Showing some flair on the ball now. Lamine, a bit more confidence, a bit more pizzazz, if you will. Eric Garcia. Casado. Araujo. Frankie de Jong. Breaks the line of the midfield, finding Fermin Lopez. Lamine down the right. Lamine backhills it for Eric Garcia after faking the inside run. Garcia knew nothing of it. And, well, Barca unable to make much happen in the way of goals in that attack, and it will still be 2-0 for Barca. If you've just joined us, welcome. This is a stream that is going on every platform, so that is Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, or X. I still refuse to call it X personally, but nonetheless, those platforms, we did have some technical issues with the Facebook stream, but that is now up and running. Has been up and running for the entirety of the second half so far, and will not be a problem going forward, hopefully, either. But we do intend on having those streams for you on every platform for every match day, barring any unexpected circumstances, as of course can always happen. If you just joined us, it is still 2-0. Barca with a goal through Lamine Yamal, and then the follow-up goal set up by Marcus Rashford, scored by Ronald Araujo. So those are the two goals for Barca so far. Albacete yet to score, although have gotten decently close on some occasions. And if you are enjoying these streams, please don't forget to follow us or subscribe on the respective platforms. Drop a like if you enjoy what you see. Of course, if you would like to support us financially, you can do so through blogonogram.com, our website, where you can also find the latest on everything FC Barcelona related, as well as our own press releases and the likes for the ongoings throughout the year. And you can donate for as low as $1 a single time, or a recurring donation if you so would wish. If you so desire, you could do a recurring donation, or you could buy a piece of merchandise, a Blogonogram piece of merchandise from our Blog Culture line. As Albacete almost score, but again, Hefte did well to get into the position. Again, over the bar. Decent cross again from Aguado again, and unable to really make the most of it. Albacete there, but as I was saying, if you'd like to support us, you could financially, you could either do that by donating to blogonagram.com. That, of course, goes to the German Shot. It goes to the content that we do here on BG Matchday, as well as any other content we create throughout the year. And, of course, lets us make better, more, and just potentially more entertaining content for you guys as well. So you could do that, or you could buy a piece of merchandise from our blog culture collection on blogonagram.com. And if you do that, we thank you a lot for your financial support. It genuinely means the world because we've decided to run everything we do with no ads. The website doesn't have ads. The streams don't have ads. We've done that in the interest of giving you the best possible experience so you can focus on the football. But we do need money to keep running. And so that, even a donation as small as $1, helps us a lot in achieving that. And if you don't do that, we still appreciate your time and your energy and every support you've shown us for the last 8 years we've been here. It genuinely means the world to us because we wouldn't have gotten where we are today without you. So, regardless of which, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, every single one of us. It means the world to us, truly. So, a little nudge, a little heads up, if you will. And for Barca, no names up on the fourth official screen yet, as we won't see any imminent substitutions since the triple that we saw earlier with Ferran Casado and Fermin Lopez stepping onto the pitch. Have all been able to make an impact. Casado has been quiet in a good way. Ferran has gotten into good positions, gotten close to scoring, hasn't scored though. And Fermin has completely changed the way Barca have moved forward. It's been about a lot more direct. It's been a lot more threatening, and he's unlucky, truly, not to have yielded an assist yet so far. Now, 24 minutes in, Albacete with a throw in here. Looked promising. Picked up by Barca. Frenkie de Jong looking to find Casado. Casado slides. It lands for Eric Garcia. Lamine down the line now here. Supported by Fermin Lopez. It's a brilliant move away from Jesus Vallejo. Fermin in for Ferran Torres. And again, his shot is blocked. And just as Barca looked to get it back, it looks like Medina might have been taken down. He at least thinks so. The referee did call it back, as Casado looked to have clipped him on the way towards the ball. And Albacete now going back to Lithuanian, who goes long and towards Medina. Olmo and Araujo, to me, have been great. Araujo was really good just then, but ultimately gave the ball away. Looking to recover it and does so incredibly well. Great move from the Uruguayan as he's falling over to get the ball. Doesn't get back up in time, but looks like Barca's high line might have helped them. We'll see. Still no offside call. It will be a throw-in for Albacete as Kunde, Balde, and Rooney Bargi are talking to Hefte, wondering why they let the play go on. Araujo is down, but looks like it might have just been a case of being off balance when he initially nutmegged Hogo. At least it seems that way. He just completely lost his balance afterwards, and then when the ball went out of play, he sat on the ground. He's appears to be back up now though, and he heads it away from danger. Almost lands for Albacete, but it's cleared well by Eric Garcia. And we'll see whether Barca will make another substitution. They do, of course, have the window to do so. So far, nothing as of yet. And again, Albacete have had chances this game. It hasn't been a completely one-sided affair, which is maybe what you'd think would have been the case, but they've definitely looked a dangerous team. And now we're seeing Ronald Araujo, the man behind the second goal. Appears to be some bleeding, maybe. Hopefully not. But he's replaced by Jules Koundé, which means Garcia now slots into the middle with Pau Cubarsí, and Koundé plays down the right. Which again, if that is how it goes for the remaining 13 or so minutes, interesting choice by Hansi Flick. But also because Koundé is not a right back. You know, he never was. But neither is Eric Garcia, so maybe the Koundé at right back experiment continues as he goes back to Joan Garcia now. Swings it over on the left for Gerard Martin and for the supporting cast in Marc Casado. Koundé picks it up brilliantly down the right, goes into the middle. Now for Fermin Lopez. Finds himself in the half space, has support by Olmo in the middle, and Lamine Yamal down the right. Goes for Dani Olmo. Olmo waiting for Ferran, and his pass just picked out by Albacete, who now look to build themselves. Pressed ever so slightly by Fermin Olmo. And now by Casado, brilliant tackle. Jose Montero disagrees. Fermin looking to disrupt play here and is now being pushed away by Pacheco. Having a bit of a talk with Medina, I believe, as well. Who, again, both have had good games for this Albacete side today. They've both played well, but haven't been able to find the back of the net. Barça with some stepping in there from Fermin Lopez again, this time closer to his own 18-yard box. Koundé looks to have taken a hit as well. Already a minute into his display today. I have to watch it back again. Looks like he took the people's elbow to the face from Antonio Puertas, who, again, has had a decent game, just hasn't been able to find the back of the net. But to his credit, neither have Hefte nor Medina. So it's sort of been a pattern for Albacete today, really. They've done everything right in terms of building up the play, except for the final touch. As Barca win it back here, a joint effort of Frenkie de Jong, Olmo, and Fermin picking it up. Fermin, brilliant moves here down the left-hand side. Brilliant. Fermin now back to Cubarsí. And for Frenkie de Jong. Leaves it for Casado. Here is Fermin Lopez. And for Frenkie, instantly pressed. Goes back to Cubarsí. And Barca just playing it around in these small midfield defense triangles. Just focusing on keeping possession with 9 minutes to go of regular time. And focusing on not conceding a goal either. Olmo. Lamine Yamal. Lamine to Olmo. Olmo to Lamine. Lamine somehow gets away and thought there might have been a foul. Plays on. Brilliant. Lamine Yamal. Again, just frustrating the opposition, really, with his on-the-ball ability and just taking his time with these step overs, whether it's body feints or just overall pieces of skill to frustrate the opposition a little bit more. Koundé. Casado. Cubarsí. And for Garcia. Frenkie de Jong, who's now wearing the armband after Araujo got taken off. Olmo does find Lamine. Lamine looking to cut inside. Lamine for Ferran Torres. Ferran. Lamine. Ferran denied. Brilliant slide tackle from Jesus Vallejo to deny Ferran Torres. And, well, if you're Ferran Torres, you're going to be really upset because, again, this time he's actually done everything right in terms of this attack. With some of the previous attacks, you could say, well, the first touch was a bit iffy, or the second touch was a bit off. He could have passed it off here. This one, he did everything right. He held on to it just long enough to be able to find support, to be able to get it back. Timed his run perfectly. But Vallejo with a brilliant step in his almost corner here. sails over the heads of everyone, and Barca ultimately give away a foul through Marc Casado, I believe. Looks that way. And again, it hasn't been a pretty game, but it also hasn't been super gritty either. As Albacete look to come forward here down the left, it's a brilliant step in from Eric Garcia, timed perfectly to deny the attempted pass there by Lazo. VR all the way back to his supporting cast in defense. Moreno driving forward well. It's a good ball here down the left hand side. And the cross goes in, and it is in the back of the net, but it is offside. It seems to be offside. That time their play finally worked, but Barca held their defensive line brilliantly, just about keeping Antonio Puertas offside. It's a very good cutback in. I believe it was a Jefte who did put that into the back of the Jefte Betancor, but offside, and the official call stands. It is offside. Barca get a free kick right on the line of their 18-yard box to restart play. It is still 2-0. A bit of a scare for Barca. Would have definitely sprung some hope into Albacete, but not to be. But again, really not a doubtful offside call at all. Barca held the line very clearly there as Lamine Yamal slips in an attempt to get to that pass by Jules Koundé. And fatigue is starting to show. Jesus Vallejo ready to take this throw in down the left-hand side around the halfway line. Medina goes back to Villar, over to Moreno. Of course, Aguado, the man who's been taken off for Fran Gamez. And for me, I failed to see the reason to make that substitution. I thought Aguado, regardless of what ratings and anything else will tell you, I thought Aguado did quite well for me, at least in the forward department. I thought he did quite well, and against Rashford and against Olmo, now Fermin, you can't do much if you're a right back other than try to delay them as much as possible, right? Especially when you're playing La Liga Dos. I'm not saying in world football, I'm saying in La Liga Dos, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot. As Barca might have a chance here. Olmo for Lamine. Lamine calls of an offside. Wasn't called. Looks like it won't be called. Lamine looked to thread it through towards Ferran Torres and Fermin Lopez, but too much juice on it, and it will land for Lithuania. Goes long, and it bounces off of the Albacete soldiers and into Barca. And the same happens again as Albacete look to find themselves on an attack. Barca step in that time, though. Win the ball back, but not without giving away a foul. Lazo telling Jose Montero that maybe there should be another card here. And realistically for Barca, they've only had one. Jacques Cancelo. Although the same can be said for Bernabeu, who's the only player from Albacete to get a yellow. Now let's see if they can make something happen here. 86 minutes in, it is a free kick from quite some distance, about 50 meters or so. It's crossed in towards the mixer, Moreno! And it is a brilliant header into the back of the net from Javi Moreno, the 25-year-old, scoring here at pretty much, well, 87th minute. Javi Moreno, who for me has been very, very good in this game so far, deserves to get himself on the score sheet here at the Estadio Carlos Belmonte. And Albacete have halved the deficit. It's a very good cross in from Lazio. And it's a very good header from Moreno. Again, brilliantly timed. Gets away from Frankie de Jong. Gerard Martin nowhere near it. And brilliant from Albacete. Barca complete lapse in concentration. And Joan Garcia, no chance. It was a bullet of a header. And you can see how much it means to Albacete, even if they go out like this. It won't be without having scored against the Giants. It won't be without having scored against, historically speaking, the most decorated clubs in Spanish football in Real Madrid and Barca. And you have to imagine that they played against Atleti, they probably could have gotten themselves a goal there too. Eric Garcia down the left for Gerard Martin. Martin back to Garcia. Barca looking to hold on to this win here with 2 minutes to go of regular time. But they also know that a good look would be to score here, which they have gotten very close to in the second half. They've looked far more proactive in the second half as well, Barca, as Gerard Martin gives it away, but only as far as getting back the ball for a throw-in. Again, looking back at the first goal for Albacete, not the one that stood by Moreno, but the one before that by Hefte. On the VAR images, it is a very, very clear offside call on Tony Puertas. As Kunde driving forward here, looking to find Lamine, ultimately unable to find the pass and just kept going. Ball bounced back to him, though. Ball now back with Barca. Kunde looking to find Lamine on the first touch, and Lamine hadn't really read it before the ball already sailed past him. 1 minute to go of regular time is what is ahead of us here as Albacete look to maybe have a chance there as the ball bounced over Eric Garcia and into Jefte. Joan Garcia faking a move there and throwing Jefte off guard. And Barca now looking to build through Frenkie de Jong through the middle. A lot of green ahead of him. Goes in for Ferran, who combines with Fermin Lopez. Here is Lamine Yamal. Lamine in for Frenkie. In for Fermin. It's a great ball. Fermin Lopez for Ferran Torres. Back heels it for Fermin. Fermin now on the left for Gerard Martin with a cross in towards Ferran Torres. Goal! Goal, 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 del Tiburón. Barca have put the final nail in the coffin. Barca have scored the third, and surely that one puts the game to bed. Of course, question of whether it was offside does not look to be the case. Again, Gerard Martin timed his run perfectly, and Ferran Torres did so as well on the replay. At least from these angles, it looks very clear that Ferran was nowhere near ahead of any defenders. Got into the ball just at the right time to just gently guide it home into the back of the net. Brilliant cross from Gerard Martin. Again, Fermin Lopez very composed in moving the ball in the right direction, not rushing it too much down the middle, knowing to go down the left. Gerard Martin timed it perfectly, capping off a very, very good performance. 5 minutes of injury time ahead of us here as Barca. Well, maybe the goal, looks like the goal might have not stood actually. As Albacete get ahead here and a chance in towards the back of the net. It's brilliantly headed away by, you guessed it, Gerard Martin. And it looks like the goal won't stand. The one scored by Ferran Torres. It looks like it does look like it was disallowed for offside. But I'm very, very curious on whether the offside is on Gerard Martin or not. As Albacete getting forward here, making it really dangerous. Barca just about get the ball out of there as Lamine Yamal initially lost it, just playing around with it at the back. And, well, he's now involved here, looking to build through the middle. Barca find Casado. Here is Fermin Lopez. Fermin all the way back to Kunde. And 3 minutes to go. And I'm still very curious on that offside call, as Frenkie gets swiped off the ball here. It will probably be a foul on Frank Gameth. It's a very, very, very crucial header off the line by Gerard Martin because the chip happened off the right hand side. It already beat John Garcia, it seemed. And so, had it not been for Gerard Martin, that would have probably gone into the back of the net and been the equalizer. Because remember, Ferran Torres' goal did not stand, as Frankie does incredibly well there to thwart the attack of Albacete down the left. They try again off the throw in. This time, Gubarthi steps in. An extra ball is thrown on the field. Play doesn't stop yet. As Albacete with a cross in here. Brilliant catch by John Garcia. And 2 minutes to go of injury time. Again, we'll watch it on the replay. Fermin finds Gerard Martin. And my goodness, Ferran Torres off by half an arm. That is close. That is close. And Lithuan playing with fire as he just about pokes it away from Ferran Torres, who was not in the mood to chase the ball. Neither was Dani Olmo, and Barca now looking to just waste time instead. Although, to me, it seemed very possible that Ferran could have gotten to that if he actually chased it and maybe gotten his goal tonight. Won't be the case, and Barca now playing it around the back for the final 75 seconds. Here is Cubarsí, John Garcia. Low and wide over for Gerard Martin. Barca really testing the patience here and testing their luck, as it looked like an Albacete player got swiped as Ed Garcia was playing that ball out the back. Lamine Yamal now looking to find Fermin Lopez down the right. He has found him. Fermin with a cross in towards Ferran Torres. It sails over his head, but lands for Dani Olmo on the other side. Olmo on the far side here. Going all the way back to Gerard Martin. Here's Frankie de Jong. One step, two into trouble. And falls down for a foul, it seems, but they're arguing, both Barca and Albacete here. Question will be whether he gives the foul the way of Albacete. Eric Garcia, actually, the man who swiped into Medina earlier. And, well, we'll have to see if any of these sides can score a goal here in these late stages. A couple of seconds remain of injury time. And that is all she wrote. Barca through to the semifinals of the Copa del Rey. Albacete knocked Real Madrid and now find themselves knocked out. Again, for Albacete, and I just want to start off by talking about them, a brilliant performance given the circumstance, given what's at stake, given the opponent, a very, very good performance if you are Albacete. If you're Barca, you should have done better, especially in the second half. You should have done better. Ferran Torres was offside for that goal. Fine, it is what it is. But Ferran Torres should have scored at least once before before that chance. He had enough chances to have scored at least a single goal. So going forward, if you're Barca, some changes need to take place, right? Some changes need to take place. Now, today's roundup is going to be incredibly short. Next up is Barca and Mallorca. That is this Saturday at 4:15 p.m. Local time, and then you have not the Monday after, not the Monday that follows, but the Monday after. So Monday the 16th, it's Girona and Barca, and that game will be played at the Montilivi, so away from home for Barca. Then it's Barca Levante on February 22nd. And then March 1st, it's Barca v Villarreal. Then it's Athletic Club v Barca, and then Barca v Sevilla. So Barca v Sevilla, of course, the rematch from the start of the season. Well, not the start, but the start portion of the season when Sevilla won. Alexis Sanchez scored the penalty and all that stuff, right? So this is going to be the replay of that. And of course, we're going to see Athletic Club, so that will be provided that there is no injury to him. Nico Williams up against Daniel Olmo, Lamine Yamal, and so on. And then, of course, Barca Villarreal is always an interesting game and will definitely be, without a doubt, an interesting game. And so, with that being said, I think everything to cover about this game has already been covered throughout the coverage of this game here on BG Match Day. Nonetheless, I've been Omar Hawash. I hope you enjoyed this coverage. If you did, please don't forget to follow us on the platform that you're watching this on. We do stream these. When the streams go like this, they go on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. So if you haven't already, please follow, subscribe, like. Let us know what you think of these. If there's anything you think we could do differently or do better, please do let us know. We always strive to improve and give you the most entertaining and the best content that we could possibly give you. Speaking of which, if you would like to support us financially, which does go a long way in ensuring that you get better content, you get more content, um, and just help us keep the lights on, man. For the website, for the streams, for the Driven Shot podcast, which we have with Mundo Deportivo, for the Twitter content we make, the articles, the long forms, the analysis, every day to day thing we do, all that, the money goes to support that. So if you would like to support us financially, you can do so for as low as a dollar, euro, or pound sterling. Um, it doesn't have to be a recurring, it can be a single time donation, or you can buy some merchandise from our blog culture collection, which is football culture tied into Barca culture, sort of like a football Twitter merch lined up with our brand. So if you would like to take a look at that or support us that way, you could check www.bloggranagram.com. And if not, just your presence here, listening to me, listening to us, watching our content, engaging with it, means the world to us anyway. So we can't thank you enough for your support. On that note, I have been Omar Hawash. Thank you for tuning into this stream, to this broadcast of BG Match Day. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope you nonetheless enjoyed tonight's game if you're a Barca fan. Next up, it is Barca v Mallorca. Barca continue their winning streak. It is 5 now. Um, well, maybe even more than that, actually. Uh, no, it is 5. So Slavia Prague away in the Champions League, Real Oviedo at home in La Liga, then FC Copenhagen in the Champions League, then Elche in La Liga, now Albacete in the Copa del Rey. So next up is Barça v Mallorca, February 7th. So that is this coming Saturday at 4:15. So an early kickoff, 4:15 local time in Catalonia. The game will of course be played at the Spotify Camp Nou. That is all from me. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.